What is up, guys, and welcome back to a brand new video. Today we're doing F1 2016 career mode. I feel like it's been a while since we've covered this series, about a week, so I feel a little bit disconnected with this series, so I'll bring you guys back up to speed. We are still leading the Drivers' Championship. If you missed the last episode, we did very well at Silverstone, as you can see there, spoilers. But yeah, here for the Hungarian Grand Prix. This race went down at a period where I didn't have internet, so I couldn't connect to Xbox Live, and I think I wasn't able to sync up my helmet and my laptop to the Xbox Live service. So for some reason, we've had our helmet and our laptop stolen, shall we say. So we've had to borrow, a support categories driver helmet this weekend. So we'll see what we can do. We actually borrowed it for the Monaco Grand Prix in our league race as well. So by the time we get to the next race, in both the league race and in the career mode race, we should have our custom helmet back, hopefully. I really don't like a plain white helmet, but either way, enough waffling out of the way. Here we are. This is qualifying, running wide on our first lap here in qualifying 2. The pace so far looks okay. I mean, it's not that great. You know, leading into this race, I've been doing a lot of soul searching, playing around a lot with setup, just trying to see what works, because as of late, in both career mode and in league race, well, more league racing, I've been struggling a lot for pace before Monaco. This race was done before Monaco as well, so yeah, I was just toying around with the setups a lot, just seeing what I could do to resurrect my pace, because it's just been a bit average for the last couple of months. So we'll get to that, and I did kind of find a fix in qualifying 3, but we'll get to that later. Q2, we set a decent time on the soft compound tyres, a 1 minute 19.3. Just squeezes us into the next session with Sebastian Vettel also on the soft compound tyres. So we'll be starting the race on the harder compound, and that's going to open up the strategy later on in the weekend. So quite looking forward to how we can play ourselves into that race. But qualifying 3 now, 2 brand new sets of these super soft tyres going on the car, and this is where I made the big changes. You know, I recently made some changes to my, advanced wheel settings, and more importantly, the force feedback after playing F1 2017. I made the force feedback so strong, and I think it might have been affecting my pace, because after playing 2017, the weight of the car just felt so much stronger, and I wanted to kind of replicate that feeling that I got after playing 17, coming back to 16. It just felt like a completely different game, and 2016 just felt so arcade, so I had to really bump up the force feedback, and I think that's knocked around my pace a little bit. It means that when I went over curbs and things like that, it would just really disrupt the flow and the balance of the car, and I think it was affecting me. So by moving the force feedback down lower, by increasing the wheel linearity, gives me a little bit more play in the steering. I can turn in a little bit more in game and not get that same scrubbing with the steering. So hopefully I can be a little bit faster in the corners, and I can be a little bit more direct with where I place the car. And so far, it looks like it's working. 4 tenths up through the middle sector, so this lap felt pretty decent. I was able to place the car more accurately where I wanted to, so I'd say initially it looks like it's working so far. But yeah, coming to the end of the third sector now, 5.5 tenths up, a little bit deep into that penultimate corner, balancing the throttle on exit with the traction just borderline on the exit, on the the limit of rear grip. But through the final corner, 7 tenths up. That's a huge improvement on a brand new set of tires from lap to lap. So I'll definitely take that. It's an 18 flat. Couldn't match my teammate over the course of 1 lap this weekend, but hey, I'll take it. I think Hungary is a very strong track for the AI anyway. So to find that level of gain just in 1 qualifying session, I think we've made some pretty good steps today. So P5 for the race. Let's see what we can do.
It's always wonderful to come back to the lively Hungaroring. A popular destination this, nice and close to the beautiful city of Budapest, with some exciting racing to boot.
Right, let's be patient going into turn 1. We want to be in a good position for the rest of the race. Good luck.
Alright, so here we are on the grid of the Hungarian Grand Prix. We have some rain to strike right at the end of the race. That's going to make things interesting for the back end. I have set up my car with slightly higher downforce than what I usually run with, so that always plays well when it comes to the rain. If you can generate a lot of downforce, then things do work well for you in the rain on this game. One thing worth mentioning though, Hamilton's starting from first today because Ricciardo had a grid drop from practice which carried over into the race. So unfortunate for Ricciardo, pretty good for us for Mercedes. Hopefully Lewis can control it from the outset. Felipe Massa starting right at the back of the grid, so he's not having a good time of things today. But either way, 5 red lights and away we go for this Hungarian Grand Prix. Not a bad start considering we are on the harder compound of tyre. Ricciardo not wasting any time and going up the inside of both myself and Raikkonen into turn 1, trying to make up all that ground that he lost due to that grid drop penalty. He would have had the second spot there, but he just kind of got manhandled on the exit of turn 1 there and drops back to position 4, I think it will be, if we can get around the outside of Ricciardo here, which we do. So it's been a great start here in Budapest on the harder compound of tyre. The only man separating us from a Mercedes 1-2 victory here is Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari. So hopefully we can get around him soon. That's not a good entry into that middle sector there, and that really put me on the back foot for the next half a lap as Ricciardo now goes up my inside through the final corner. I like to try and take a really wide entry into that corner, but it opens the door for the AI to go up my inside sometimes. But here we go, Ricciardo up the inside, doesn't really lunge it under brakes, so we hold on to our current position of P3 for the moment. But Raikkonen looks very pacey. He's putting a lot of pressure on our teammate Lewis Hamilton at the moment, despite us going purple. We aren't making huge gains. It's only, you know, a tenth or two here and there, but we are slowly getting closer as those two cars continue to scrap away for the lead of this race. Ricciardo right behind me again. This time he's going to have DRS as we go purple. He goes purple as well, so that only confirms how quick he is in this Grand Prix. He goes to the inside to take third place in this Grand Prix. We try and hang it around the outside there. I don't think Ricciardo's going to quite have the exit to really match us there, and we still hold on to P3. But meanwhile, while battling away with Ricciardo, Raikkonen takes the lead of this race and hangs Lewis out to dry there. So Lewis, for whatever reason, just doesn't seem to be having the pace at the moment. Got a good start and pulled away initially, but yeah, it's all been the Raikkonen show at the moment, and I think soon we might be getting into that battle with Lewis for second place in this Hungarian Grand Prix.
Full course caution. The safety car is out. Keep an eye on the delta. We need to keep it positive to avoid a penalty.
So this has made things interesting now for this race. Safety car on lap 5. You just saw in the previous 2 clips we got some corner cutting penalties, so we can't afford to cut any more, otherwise we'll get a 3-second penalty to be added onto our race time. So Lewis on the previous lap pulled into the pits. Raikkonen has decided to stay out. With me on my current strategy at the moment, it's very awkward because if I pit now, then I'm compromised for the rest of this race. So I thought it's probably better to stay out and see how long the safety car stays out for. We might even gamble it on the one stop here, go to mediums and finish out this race on that.
Okay, just to advise you, we're expecting the tyre grip to start falling off noticeably around now, but this set should be okay for a while longer despite that. There's less tyre deg than we feared. They should last a while.
Okay, so that's the kind of messages you want to hear from your engineer, especially if you're endeavouring to go on the one-stop strategy. I think it might be the only avenue we might have up our sleeve, especially if there's going to be rain towards the back end of this race. But we're underway with this race once again. Raikkonen pulls into the pits at the end of the safety car period. Absolute worst time to pit in because you're just going to rejoin at the back. So that's an interesting strategy ploy from our race leader here. Grosjean is out of the Grand Prix. No engine failure. It's very weird to see an AI retire without having you know, a big puff of smoke behind them. So interested to know what their retirement there for the Haas driver was. But here we are on board with the action. We've got Fernando Alonso in P2 getting hunted down by my teammate. Alonso hasn't made a stop yet, so he's drastically elevated up the order at the moment. But Lewis shoves him out wide to dry and moves up into position number 2.
GP2 engine. GP2.
So Fernando isn't happy, obviously. I don't think he fared too badly on that straight. He was very comparable in straight line speed compared to a fully upgraded Mercedes. But either way, Fernando clearly not happy at McLaren Honda at the moment. But Hamilton is on the march at the moment. Fastest lap after fastest lap. Ricciardo beats him to it as well. But My teammate up the inside into turn 1. This is for the lead of the race. He's on fresh medium tyres. We're on slightly older soft compound tyres, so I think the pace here is going to be quite similar. It's going to be quite comparable. That's why I'm fighting Lewis so hard at the moment. But there's got to be a time where you have to beg the question, do you let your teammate go for the sake of the constructors? Because Ricciardo is closing in quite quickly. He did set the fastest lap of the race on the previous lap, so it's got to be a time where something has got to give here, and it might be my position here in this race. Lewis goes to the outside through turn 1. DRS this time. I've gone in a little bit deep, a little bit compromised, and that might give Lewis the edge. No, he gets a terrible exit off of turn 1. Let's see what he can do this time on lap 13. Unlucky for some, but who knows? Maybe on the third time lucky, Lewis can get the move done. We try and go slow in, fast out. Didn't really work there, as the tyres are now starting to fall off quite gradually now. Lewis is just going to phase in quite nicely in this middle stint of the race. So, yeah, Lewis takes P1. Let's see if we can stay with him if we can, and kind of be a rear gunner for Lewis, because Ricciardo is going to be closing in at a vast rate or not. So, yeah, we'll see what happens. You know, in terms of like the actual constructors fight, you know, we're leading by quite a long way. So I still feel like it's worth putting up the fight in order to win races, given that we are in front by so much. But here comes Ricciardo up the inside. I think this is all going to be pretty academic, really. He's got a lot of space and a lot of track position heading into turn 1. He carries a very slow speed into turn 1 there, and that's actually given me a little bit of a sniff coming into turn 2. We're going to get him back here. I wasn't anticipating this. Ricciardo has just had a really bad run through turn 1. The apex speed was terrible. Just invited me to come back up the inside into turn 2. So I'll definitely take that. So, yeah, back into P2. And now it actually looks like we're closing on Hamilton. So I'm not too sure what's going on here. We were first place and struggling. And now we're back into P2 after briefly being in P3. And now chasing down Lewis. Does he have a car issue? Is his ERS working? Is he having some kind of braking problem? He is slow in the corners. But now Ricciardo buys into this fight as well up the inside. This is going to be a 3-wide affair heading into turn 1 for the lead of the race. We go in very deep to maintain that track position, but it might bite us in the arse here as we get a really bad exit. Ricciardo's got the worst of anyone through turn 1 again. He just can't get turn 1 right here. Here's the replay from the helicopter shot. You can see us going way too deep. And I think there might be contact. There is, with Ricciardo and Hamilton. We'll see on the onboard from Hamilton. He was kind of pressed up against me on the outside of the track. Ricciardo had free roam on the inside. And I think they might just come together here. Yeah. Ricciardo fares off quite badly there. Could have got both of us and moved into the lead. But instead, he's having to grovel in third place.
What a bloke.
Yeah, so Ricciardo was clearly not happy. He felt Lewis was definitely at fault for that, for maybe not leaving enough space. I don't know, but the Honey Badger is definitely fired up at this point in the race, and he wants to get rid of these Mercedes cars who are holding him up quite considerably. And now he's dispatched of Lewis. He's on the back of me now and is pressurizing me for the lead of this race. Here he goes to the inside. Through the middle sector, there's contact. And wow, that could have been a race-ending incident if we didn't catch that little tag there. Ricciardo really aggressive. He's pissed off. He's not happy at this phase of the race. So I just thought, this isn't worth it. We'll take ourselves out of the battle, reduce the risk, come in and fit on the medium tyres and go to at least the end of the race, or until the rain period comes in. But I can't believe Ricciardo's behaviour there. He was fired up. He was properly not happy. I think it's because he just wasn't in a good mood to begin with in this race. You know, qualifying pole position, then getting the 5-place grid drop, and then maybe just a combination of the incidents with us and then the tension of just being behind in the championship and the pressure starting to get to him. That's sort of, I don't know. I'm not a genius, but I think that's what might be at play here. But we rejoin on the track. It's P9 battling away with Sergio Perez. Very important for our race to make sure that we just got out in front of him and he doesn't hold us up in the context of our race. We try and chase down Daniel Ricciardo and Lewis Hamilton. Those guys are all going to be coming in the next few laps. So I don't want to be battling away here with the Force India. There's Ricciardo now, who just rejoins on the track and crucially in front of me with the soft compound tyres. So Daniel is going to be very quick, very speedy in this next section of the race. Yeah, I was really hoping to rejoin in front of him, but unfortunately the undercut has not worked for me. The medium tyres don't seem to be the one to be on at the moment. And here comes Lewis Hamilton as well, up the inside. I saw him coming, stuck it down into lean revs, broke early and just let him go because I just don't have the pace on the medium tyres. As soon as I put them on, I just didn't feel comfortable, didn't have the grip, and I'm really struggling here to even hold on to track position versus guys who weren't even in the picture earlier on in the race.
The radar is showing light rain arriving in 5 minutes time, 5 minutes.
So now I know why my teammate was struggling so much on the medium tyres versus us on the softs, but thankfully if there's anything that's going to spice up this race, it's definitely going to be a short spout of rain. But meanwhile, I don't think we need too much more spice. We are, well, geez, I don't know how superlatives to describe how much battling has been going on today. Most of it has been with either Lewis or Ricciardo, and now it's switched over to the other Red Bull of Verstappen. He's really putting the pressure on. That's Perez up the inside now, so he's come out of nowhere, overtaken Perez, overtaken. I can't even. So much has happened today. Too many overtakes to count. I think I should call it a day soon. But either way, we carry on to lap 28. Verstappen on the inside. There's a bit of contact running into turn 1, and that's, again, could have ended quite nastily. Two major spouts of contact with Red Bull cars, and somehow we have survived. Here comes Verstappen again. Super exit off the right-hander, and he goes up the inside. That's not a good, effective move, and this is going to be side-by-side for the two of us. And I have to leave. Oh, no! We're gone. We're gone. We've been taken out by Verstappen. I was just saying we need to leave him some space on the inside, but I think he's drifted over wide into my line, and we're both in the barriers. I think I've lost a little bit of my front wing. We can carry on, but look at this contact between two major rivals, and it's ended in disaster for both of us. Unbelievable. Just before the rain was about to strike as well. I can't believe it. Let me know who you think was at fault for that crash. I'm going to lean towards Verstappen. I might be biased, but I think he just drifted over into my line ever so slightly to make contact, and wow! One of the Toro Rossos has just slammed into Verstappen, and in doing so, he slammed into me, and Alonso, well, he's sick of the McLaren Honda, he may as well bin it, because, well, he was going to retire in a couple laps anyway, and there's the follow-on of that massive crash, and we've been left with half a car in the barriers. I can't believe this end to this Hungarian Grand Prix. If there's not a safety car, we're going to finish effectively last. We've got, yeah, no front wing, and we can't rejoin the track because there's cars flying past us. And what a disaster. What an absolute disaster to this race. We were looking very, very good. Virtual safety cars out, so at least we can come into the pits, change the tyre. Well, the virtual safety car has ended before we even got to the pit lane, so that's our luck right there. So given that we're pretty much last place with a few laps to go, we're going to chuck on the intermediate tyres. It had started raining in the last minute or two, so we'll take a risk. You know, when you're last place, you may as well, because it may well get us back in the midfield if the rain starts chucking it down. But I can't find any positives from here. We're about to be lapped by Vettel. There he goes, up the inside, and I think this is pretty much the crossover point. So this is going to be an interesting battle here. Dry tyres versus intermediates, and this is not the kind of battle I wanted to be getting myself into, because if I overtake Vettel, I then have 3 or 4 corners to pull away by over a second, before which I'd get a penalty for holding up Vettel, even though I re-overtook him, and he'd need to make another pit stop anyway. So this is a very interesting battle that's unfolding right now. Surely he's going to be coming in at the end of this lap. Vettel goes defensive into turn 1, and we're going to try and mug him round the outside. We've got so much better traction. I feel like the Inters are really going to come into their own on this lap, and we pulled away from Vettel quite considerably already in this first sector. And there we go. We got outside like a second and a half, and we weren't displayed blue flags anymore. So Vettel came in on the next lap, so did my teammate, so did basically everyone, and for the rest of the race I was determined to chase down Carlos Sainz, who was about 5 seconds up the road. I caught him by a lot, but not enough. We ran out of time, and we're going to finish this Hungarian Grand Prix, the worst position we finished this season, 17th place.
Sorry about that, I guess it can't all go to plan. Bring her in, we'll go over what happened in the debrief.
So, here they come now, out onto the podium. Wherever you go, anywhere in the world, the prancing horse flags are dominant in the grandstands, and they're out in force again today. It's Ferrari on the top step once more.
That is not what you want to see. 3 of your championship rivals on the podium, and us meanwhile we're picking up the pieces down in 17th place. No points today. That is supremely costly for the championship. Thankfully we do have a pretty hefty lead, but that's not what you want to be doing at the halfway point of the season. We got a 3-second penalty at some point. Not sure if it was contact with Verstappen or in the final few laps I just went hell for leather trying to catch Sainz and got a corner cutting penalty. I'm not too sure, but doesn't matter in the end. No points. Yeah, hard to debrief this race. The medium tyres were terrible, but the contact with Verstappen and that huge crash was so costly. I think we were effectively like P4, P5, so we would have been on for some decent points, and it would have been interesting to see what we could have done in the intermediate conditions and the dying laps, but still, we lead the championship by 43 points, is it? Yes, it is, and we lead by 61 points in the Constructors' standings, so it's not all bad at the moment. Thankfully, we do have that huge buffer, but again, that's not the kind of thing you want to be doing too often if you want to make a claim for some championships. But that's been this episode for today, guys. The Hungarian Grand Prix, in terms of upgrades, we can do the engine, but I think I'm going to save that for when we get to Spa and Monza. So we will stick on some fuel efficiency and make ourselves a little bit more handy in the race and make us more flexible in terms of fuel strategy. But yeah, there we go. Such a consistent season up until this point. I think this might be our first non-points finish, so massive apologies about that. I'll be trying to rectify that in the next race, but still, we had so many battles, so many overtakes and moments where we were, on the pace, off it again, and yeah, such a topsy-turvy race. Hopefully you enjoyed it anyway. Thank you guys so much for watching. Subscribe to the channel if you're new. Leave a like on this video if you did enjoy it, nonetheless. Until the next race, I'll see you guys next time.